Welcome to another Grand Rounds on the Montgomery Heart and Wellness community. We have a very special guest today, but without further ado, Chef AJ has been devoted to a plant-exclusive diet for over 45 years. She was the host of television series Healthy Living with Chef AJ, which aired on Foodie TV. A chef, culinary instructor, and professional speaker, she is the author of 3 best-selling books, all which have received glowing endorsements by many luminaries in the plant-based movement. In 2018, she was inducted into the Vegetarian Hall of Fame. I present to you Chef AJ. I understand you have a presentation for us today, Chef AJ.
I do, and I'm so excited to give it because it's one of my favorite ones. So let me just share my screen. I can distill the secrets to weight loss into 2 words. And a lot of people think those words are eat less or exercise more. And in some parts of the country, they think the secret is gastric bypass. But the truth is, the secret to ultimate weight loss is calorie density. You simply have to know what's known as the average calorie density of a few different food groups. And what calorie density simply means are the calories per pound of food. In the United States, we use pounds. Other countries probably use liters. But when you really get into understanding calorie density, you'll realize that people aren't overweight because they ate too much food. It's because they eat too many calories, because they're eating foods at too high of a caloric density that our species wasn't designed for. But the way I'm going to propose you eat is you're going to get to eat either the same amount of food you're eating now or more and feel full and satisfied, but take in fewer calories. So what we're going to do is together, we're going to create a calorie density chart. So green means go, like on a stoplight. And these are the foods that are the healthiest foods on the planet. And coincidentally, the most favorable for weight loss. The foods in red, in my opinion, well, they're the most calorically dense, but they're also the most unhealthy. The foods in purple, now these are very healthy foods. They just happen to be calorically dense, and so they're not so great for weight loss. Now, remember I mentioned that food ranges in caloric density from 100 calories per pound to 4,000 calories per pound. And again, these are not individual foods, so you don't have to memorize, every little food out there. It's about knowing just a few food groups. So the food group that is lowest in calorie density, which is about 100 calories per pound on average, and you might even have some guesses in your own mind, what you think it might be. Well, these are non-starchy vegetables. So non-starchy vegetables are pretty much any vegetable that you could think of. Corn actually is a starch. It's a grain technically. And, parsnips is a starchy vegetable. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, these are starches. But non-starchy vegetable is pretty much any vegetable you could think of in the whole world. If you Google a list of non-starchy vegetables, you might come up with a list like this. So you could ostensibly eat a different one every day without actually even repeating. Now, Conan O'Brien has said that for the first time since 2007, the FDA has approved a new device to treat obesity. This amazing breakthrough is called a vegetable. And the truth is that the more vegetables you eat, the leaner you'll be. I mean, assuming you're not pouring butter and cheese and bacon and things like that on that. We're going to find out a little bit later on why people don't like vegetables as much as they like some of the other foods of a high caloric density. Vegetables like the cruciferous vegetables, like the kales, the collard, the broccoli, they have a compound in them called thylakoids. And if we could get them in a pill, they would charge a lot of money for them, because what thylakoids do is they actually block fat absorption. It's like they turn off the hunger switch and help you fight cravings for things like sugar. And so I always recommend people, especially if they're trying to lose weight, if they're trying to combat their food addiction, not only have vegetables at every meal, including breakfast, making sure at least half your plate is vegetables, but get those greens in. Let greens be thy medicine, because that is what's going to blunt your cravings for all the unhealthy stuff. The biggest secret I can share with you for weight loss, for health, is to eat more vegetables. And whatever you're eating now, even if you think you're eating a lot, you probably need to double it, maybe triple or quadruple it. But that is the secret. But you can't just eat vegetables, because you'd be really hungry, because they're too low in calorie density. So let's move up the chart. And the next group, and again, we always average because some are less, some are more, 300 calories per pound would be fruit. Now, remember I mentioned 6 fruits that were culinary vegetables that were actually only 67 calories per pound. Most fruit is about 200 calories per pound. Apples, berries, pears, those kind of things. But some of the fruits, pineapples, bananas, they're a little bit higher, 400. So we're averaging it at 300 calories per pound. But the truth is if all you ate was fruits and vegetables, there's no way you could be overweight. So here's the thing about juicing and blending. And again, it's not that I'm telling you never to have a smoothie, but I'm working with a lot of people that are really looking for weight loss. And in general, liquid calories are not as favorable for weight loss because it's easier to overconsume them than in the same amount you would of the whole food. I'm much more a fan of smoothies than juices, by the way, unless it's green juice. And I do drink a little bit of green juice every day. But let's take a look at juicing, for example. So these vials are the exact same size. Our stomach is about the size of a cantaloupe. It holds about a liter of food, which is about 4.22 cups. Now, apples are 200 calories per pound. So I weighed out 500 calories worth of apples on the scale at the store, and it was about 6 apples. Well, I juiced those apples, and I got this much apple juice. I think it was like 3 cups maybe. What do you think is missing from the apple juice that the apple had? If you thought fiber, you'd be right. So the pulp and the fiber have been removed. And so what happens then when you drink the apple juice, it raises your blood sugar much more quickly because it's not mitigated by the fiber. When your blood sugar goes up quickly, your insulin goes up quickly. Insulin is the hormone responsible for driving fat into the cells. So it's better to eat your food not just from a plant, but from a whole plant with the fiber and the water intact. So next category, and again, these are categories of food. We're not even going into specific foods because you really don't need to. 400 to 600 calories a pound is my favorite calorie of food. And this is what Dr. John McDougall would call the starch. So the unrefined complex carbohydrates. You know, carbs get a bad name. You know, people say carbs aren't good for you. Well, if they come from sugar and flour and alcohol, they're not good for you. But if they are eaten the way they're found in nature, they are the healthiest foods on the planet that our ancestors ate for and most of human history to survive. And this is where most people get the bulk of their calories, at least people that are eating in the plant exclusive world in a healthful manner. So different types of starches would be potatoes or sweet potatoes. These are about 365 to 400 calories per pound. Whole grains, whether they contain gluten or not, these could be things like quinoa, teff, millet, amaranth, rice, oats, corn, sorghum, things like that. These are about 500 calories per pound. And legumes, beans, split peas, lentils, these are about 550 to 600 calories per pound. Most people are eating the majority of their calories to the right of the red line. So now we're going to find out where those calories are coming from. All right, so the next food group is purple. So purple is healthy. It's just a little bit more calorie dense. Okay, so 750 calories per pound. This is actually a fruit, but it behaves a little bit different than most of the high water fruit, and it's avocados. And there's nothing unhealthy about avocado. It is so much healthier than to get your fat from oil or animal products or coconut. It's a monounsaturated fat. It's very good for you. It just happens to be a little bit more calorically dense. Now, the California Avocado Commission, these are the people that grow the avocados, so ostensibly want you to buy them. Even they say that the serving size of an avocado is only 1/5 of a medium avocado. Now, I don't know about you, but I have never been able to take a luscious, ripe avocado, cut it into 5 segments, eat one, and put 4 back. If you can do that, well, then you don't need this presentation. But a lot of people I work with, when they have those luscious, higher fat, pleasure trappy foods, they have a hard time moderating them. So that's that. Now, the next category of food, again, this is a category, so there's different things in it. RCC, which stands for refined complex carbohydrates. These are the bad carbohydrates, and dairy. Now, what's interesting about dairy is it's both an animal product and a processed food. You really don't see dairy in nature, and I'm not talking about in the udder of the cow or in the breast milk of the species, but it really is a processed food. These are the foods that are very calorically dense, they're highly processed, not found in nature, and these are the foods that most people that struggle with weight and food addiction. This food is the most craved food. Whenever they ask people what do they crave the most, generally tops the list of most craved foods by most people, and if you guessed chocolate, you would be correct. All right, so the next group of foods, now these are very healthy. The thing is, oh, I got one more jar, sorry. This is 500 calories of M&Ms with peanuts. You can see that's not very much food. So you could have a lot more potatoes for a lot less calories and no fat. That slides out of order. I got to fix that. Okay. So 2,800 calories per pound are whole food fats, nuts, seeds, nut butters, and tahini. And I would so much rather, when people want to eat fat, if they would eat it from the whole foods like nuts, seeds, nut butters, and avocados rather than the processed oils. These are very healthy foods, but I have seen people get in trouble with them because they're also very, very delicious, especially if you eat them roasted and salted. If you're going to eat them, you must eat them raw and unsalted. And then it's a lot easier to moderate them than they are if you go to Costco and buy a 3-pound bag of salted roasted nuts. Because you think about sugar, oil, and salt, is they're really not food. They're chemicals that we add to the modern food supply that fool our brain satiety mechanisms and cause us to overeat. So it's a lot easier to eat a lot more food when you're oiling it up, salting it up, and sugaring it up. So these foods really, if you're going to consume them, need to be eaten in their raw, natural state. So this is an example of nuts. But again, you have to be mindful. They're very calorically dense. So this is 400 calories of walnuts, and this is 400 calories of potatoes. This is 400 calories of peanut butter. It's not a lot of food. And peanut butter to me is just crack, so I avoid it. Nobody needs this next category, guys. Nobody. I don't care if you're vegan or not. Nobody. I don't understand this. This is really a triumph of marketing over science. 4,000 calories per pound. And look at this chart. Remember, 40-fold difference in the calorie density of food. That's going to make a big difference, because if you can change the average calorie density of some of the foods you eat by changing some of these food groups, it's going to be really easy to lose weight. 4,000 calories per pound are all oils. Yes, even cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, blessed by the Pope, coconut oil, all oil. Oil is not a food. Oil is for cars. It's not for human consumption. So again, these are our stomachs. And think about it, because I need to feel full. I can't be sitting there eating all day and thinking about food. I need to fill my tank and get on with my life. If I do it with oil or, peanut butter or whatever, it's not going to activate any of the mechanisms of satiety. If I do it with animal products, chicken or cheese, well, sure, it's going to feel a little bit fuller than the oil, but look at how much room is left. But if you do left of the red line foods in any combination that you want, of fruits and vegetables and beans and grains and sweet potatoes or winter squashes, you can do that 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a day, and you are going to feel full. And guess what? When you feel full, you don't have to keep eating. So now I want to talk about why it does make a difference, the amount of fat in your diet, especially if you're trying to lose weight. And if you want to do this more volumetric approach and eat more food. Protein is 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram. Alcohol is almost double the caloric density, 7 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. So it's more than double either protein or carbohydrates. All right, so just to summarize, the foods in green, these are whole natural foods. They're found in nature. They contain vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and micronutrients, but most importantly, they contain water and fiber, which together create bulk and increase satiety. The foods in red, to the right of the red line, these are highly processed foods. They're not found in nature. They contain few to no micronutrients and little to no fiber or water, and they contribute very little to satiety. The foods in purple, these are health food foods, but they're very calorically dense, and so I think they're best included in small amounts after your weight loss goals are achieved.
Chef AJ, it's always a pleasure, and I really like how you break down the way of losing weight. The juicing and the smoothies, we use it in people who have impaired digestive conditions, if you're on a ventilator and that type of thing. I agree that it's best to eat whole foods, especially having intact teeth and digestive tracts and the like. Thanks again. I look forward to being with you on your show October 2nd.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you.
Now, we'll let you guys know in the audience when we're on, and we'll be sharing some new information with everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Be well, eat well.